All right, it's Phil and Pete, and we're back again for a review. Spoiler review, by the way, so if you haven't seen this episode, go away and come back later. A spoiler review of episode 3, season 8 of Game of Thrones, which I found out the title to, which was Lord Snow.
It was misleading.
It was misleading in a few ways. Well, misleading in a good way or a bad way, we'll find out as we talk about this episode, which was epic. Would you give it epic status?
I would say it was pretty epic. It was a movie.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
A movie with no dialogue.
Yes, and we did watch it with some Portuguese subtitles, but they weren't very necessary.
No.
Yeah, because there wasn't a lot of dialogue. Although I do like it when we have subtitles because it picks up all the bullshit they say in the background. Like,
yes.
Close the doors. Open this. Because you don't know what the hell they're talking about. So, yeah, definitely epic. I was definitely on the edge of my seat for most of this episode and screaming at the screen a lot, which I usually don't do. I'm pretty calm at movies or TV shows in general, but this one had me going. And Pete can attest to that. No tears from me, though. Did you get emotional in any parts?
Not really. Only when I thought Arya was going to buy the farm. Then I was like, oh, you better not, you motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah. Definitely, I thought that when she jumped out, I thought that he had stabbed her in the air.
Yeah. I thought he was going to break her neck, actually.
Yeah, it took me a second to realize what was going on. But that was a great. It caught me. I think it caught everybody off guard because we were not expecting Arya to be the one to take out the Night King. But we're going to talk about all that and more.
Indeed.
We're going to talk about all the deaths that happened. But first, just a general feeling for the episode. It was just one big battle.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very well done. We watched a little bit of the after, like talking Game of Thrones, whatever they do. Like the directors start talking. And what they said was absolutely right. I mean, they couldn't just have a 1-hour battle scene. That would get boring very quickly. Just people running after each other. It's very confusing to see what's going on. So they balanced it well.
Yeah.
I thought.
They cut to a lot of different scenes.
Mm-hmm. And it was mainly a battle in the air with the dragons, a battle on the ground outside and kind of in the first parts of the gates of Winterfell. There was the battle over by the Godswood, where Bran was chilling, and a little bit of action down in the crypts.
Lots of action down in the crypts.
Which...
Yeah. Let's put everyone with the dead people.
Yeah, I mean...
They'll be safe there.
I hadn't thought of that after last week's episode until somebody brought it up in one of the Facebook groups, and I said, oh, wow, that's a really good point that they made. Why would you put a bunch of people in with a bunch of dead people, like, to protect them? And they kept saying it's the safest place, and when they say it's the safest place, it's usually not. But what would you say was the best scenes for you? What were the best bits of this episode?
Well, besides Arya delivering the killing strike, I thought the dragon fight was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. I also really liked the Tyrion Sansa interaction down in the crypt. Talking about their quote unquote marriage and why it never would have worked and stuff like that. I thought that was a really good moment of reflection amidst all the carnage. And also, I think the Hound really. It's not the first time he's kind of, I don't want to say pussed out, but he kind of did. He really needed inspiration to keep going. He needed a reason to keep fighting, and Arya proved to be his reason for keeping going. And that's what I've been looking forward to, is seeing those two get back together and ride out one last time.
Dynamic duo.
Yes, exactly. They're like my favorite male-female action hero team.
Yeah, I figured with all the fire, and even in the trailers for this episode, they showed that scene where he was just shocked. He was like a deer in a headlight, and that was one of the scenes from the trailer. So most people had kind of figured that he would just freeze because of the fire. That's his Achilles heel, and he did definitely puss out, but he was able to overcome it.
Yeah,
because of Arya. And it was a cool scene with the two of them getting back together. Any other standout scenes for you?
No, that's about it for me.
For me, I liked all the Arya stuff, like going through the labyrinth, which is Winterfell. They had the scene in I guess it was a library or something. It reminded me of Jurassic Park, the very first one, the only good
Oh
one,
yeah, yeah,
where the Velociraptors are after the kids and they're in the kitchen running from one shelf behind another little counter, and it really reminded me a lot of that scene. And it was a bit of a horror movie feel to it. It had a
oh, the
little
whole
bit,
episode
yeah.
was horror. It was a full blown horror episode.
And also I like the beginning. I mean, it had me going. It had me tense. The build up,
Yeah,
I can never pronounce it. The Dothraki, what is it?
Dothraki.
Dothraki, yeah, the Dothraki running out there with their flaming swords. Melisandre coming out of nowhere, and we'll talk a lot about her in a second. And lighting their swords on fire, and then boom,
Yeah, they're done.
nothing.
Yeah,
And all you see is them running back, and you don't see Dothraki running back from anything.
yeah. Well, what few were left?
Yes, what few were left. And that was a great build up, great intensity. I like the stuff outside of Winterfell with the Army of the Dead trying to break in. So that was probably my favorite part. When they were inside fighting, it was a little bit messy because there was so much going on. I don't think it I don't think it was as good as the battle at Castle Black.
That remains my favorite
Yeah,
battle
I
scene.
mean,
This was a great episode, but
yeah,
I think Castle Black remains my favorite battle scene in the series.
exactly. Inside the castle is beautiful, and even in that battle, there's this one shot that's just this swooping one shot. Starting from the right, panning all the way to
Yeah,
the left with John running, and every time I watch it, and I think I've seen it about 3 or 4 times now. I just think of what it took to film that, to
yeah,
have everything going on live, perfectly staged with the camera moving. I mean, beautiful. Which I thought they were about to do in this episode when John was running, but away from the dead and everything once he got inside the walls, but they didn't do it. That's a beautiful shot. This one was just carnage. It was just
yeah.
things coming from every side, and it was intense, but it did get a little shouldn't say confusing, but overwhelming because it was so many.
It was compartmentalized.
Yeah, it made you think like, wait, I mean, how many are there or how many aren't there, and how is everybody surviving and not surviving? But it worked. I mean, this is just a minor criticism, but outside the walls, I thought was better suspense, more. It built up a little bit better. And what for you were some of the weaker parts of this episode?
I don't know that I would say that there are weaker parts. I would just say that in terms, like I said before, the battle itself it's not the best. That's about my only major criticism. Like even the Battle of the Bastards, I would have to say was possibly slightly better.
Yeah, I have to watch that. That's coming up soon because I've been rewatching Game of Thrones, and I stopped at season 5, episode 9, right after Hardhome, which is another great battle scene.
Right.
So I'm coming up to the Battle of the Bastards in season 6, which I remember from first watching it that it's incredible. Yeah, I think I gotta agree with you on that. The battle itself wasn't. I didn't feel as anything. Well, it sounds so weird to say it wasn't anything special, but in relative terms, for what Game of Thrones
Yeah.
usually does.
Yeah,
But
it was not their best battle. But that's like a really trivial criticism because it was
yes,
still awesome.
it was still awesome. I think the episode is what was awesome,
Right.
and then it just happened to have this battle as part of the episode.
Yes.
But as far as the staging and these moments where like, is he gonna make it out? Is he not? It didn't keep me that much in suspense. For me, I'll give it 2 criticisms, so I don't sound like I'm totally gushing over this episode. Like probably everybody's gonna be gushing over it. One, I did think it was a bit dark, and I don't know what it is about TV shows these days where they can't seem to film things in the dark so that we can see them.
Right.
Because I used to watch plenty of shows, but even watch Tim Burton's Batman. It's all in the dark, but
That's
it's
true.
well lighted. You can see every single thing that's
Well
happening.
lit.
Well lit, sorry. And whereas nowadays, somebody just goes into the bathroom and you don't know what the fuck they're doing. Are they brushing their teeth? Are they shampooing their hair? As soon as the light goes down, I don't know what that is. It's a trend now. The Walking Dead has this problem. Major movies have this problem.
It was hard for me to tell because I'm going blind, so I didn't know if it was me or if it was the lighting.
It was the lighting,
Okay.
especially no, especially for the dragon scenes because that was what I was looking most forward to. And as soon as they went into the storm, because the Night King was coming, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
No, it was hard to follow.
Yeah,
we had like two screens to watch on them.
Yes.
Both of them I couldn't see shit.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything. It just blurred out, and I don't know what was going on in there. And was she chasing after the Dragon King, and then which dragon was which was a little bit hard to figure out. And then all of a sudden, John is back burning up the dead, but then he quits on that plan, which I'm like, why would you quit on that plan? It was a really, burn up these dead with your dragon fire. So that part I thought was the weakest.
Yeah.
It didn't really interest me that much, which is a shame because, again, I was really looking forward to this battle with the dragons in the air, the Dance of Dragons. So aside from that, I mean, and I did think there was like a little bit of a loose plot point with Bran going into his green vision, I think they call it, and the crows going out. And okay, it just saw that the Dragon King was there, but we already kind of knew that. And then he stayed in that green vision for a while, but he didn't do anything to really help. I thought he was going to bring some reinforcement or something, but it felt like a setup to something that didn't pan out. So for me, those were the two weakest parts. The dragon stuff and Bran in the little forest. But now, let's talk about the deaths. Because pretty much everybody.
We thought there would be more and
the
bigger.
Collective we.
Yeah.
Thought that there would be bigger. I didn't think, obviously, which I think I mentioned last podcast, that we would have too many major deaths because you can't kill off half the cast.
No.
And then still have 3 more episodes to go. And
but it's a big cast.
It's a big cast. But some people were thinking like a lot of major characters were going to die. Daenerys and Sansa and Tyrion and Jaime.
I was kind of surprised Daenerys lived, actually.
I was too. But I couldn't see them killing off like more than just 1, maybe 2. I'm talking about the main players, like the ones that Iron Throne drama, like Jaime and Brienne and Jon and Daenerys and Tyrion and Sansa. I mean,
they didn't actually kill any major characters.
No, they didn't. None of the ones that really matter for the last few acts of the series. But that being said, it didn't feel off. Like, it didn't feel like I was gypped, let's say. It didn't feel like they were scared to kill off these characters. No, a few of the characters died. A lot of them had some plot shield. But it worked for the episode. It didn't seem like they were chickening out. But I don't know. I was just expecting a little bit more with that. I was expecting a little bit more with that. But we shall see what they have in store because there's still 3 more episodes left. So there's still time.
4.
4? No, it's 3. You know what? I thought it was 7 episodes too. And then I was corrected. I looked it up later. It's only 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's only 6 episodes this season. And I think the 7th, I think this is where the confusion is coming in. This 7th one is going to just be like a special. Okay. And they're bringing in old cast members and a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But I was confused about that too because I was sure it was 7 and then I checked and it was 6. So 3 more to go. So there's a lot of space there for a few heads to roll until we get to the end. But let's talk about some of the deaths that happened and how impactful they were and how we felt about how they went down. First is Dolores. Is that his name?
Dolores.
Ed? Is it Dolores?
It's a pretty feminine name.
Okay. But anyway, I like this guy.
Yeah, but pretty forgettable character.
Yeah, extremely forgettable character. But a likable guy. That's weird that his name is Dolores. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm saying this as somebody that just watched a Star Trek show with the main character's name is Michael, and it's a woman. So, anyway, shit happens. But yeah, Dolores, he went down saving Sam.
Right.
Which, by the way,
he got his bacon saved so many times in that episode.
My goodness, yes. He got saved by Dolores, and then he got saved later by... Was it Jamie or... Oh, I forgot who saved him the second time.
I can't remember. He's buried under like a bunch of White Walkers.
Yeah, so. I guess because he's kind of chubby. I don't know. Like, that saved him. His armor is kind of thick. But yeah, his ass got saved a lot. I thought after the first save, I kind of knew, okay, they're not going to kill him off because kind of cheap to like have the save and then kill off the character later. But then after the second save, I didn't get why it was even there. Like, why do you need to have like a near death for Sam twice? And then
I think just to show what a lucky motherfucker he is.
Yes, because then in the last we saw him, he had a bunch of walkers on top of him. I thought he was done for.
Yeah.
But apparently not. I don't know how he got out of that one. Because it looked like it was right when Jon Snow made it into the castle. So I thought, okay, here's Jon Snow's chance now to save Sam. But they kind of... It looked like Jon Snow looked at him and then just kept walking. He's like, okay, I guess he's beyond saving. But, yeah, this guy died. Again, inconsequential character, but a nice character. I liked him. I liked his development through the Castle Black arc, where he was kind of a nobody, but then Doran actually was in that battle at Castle Black, where Jon had to go down, and he took charge up top, up in the rafters or whatever you call them, up at the top, wherever the hell they were.
Yeah, top of the wall.
Top of the wall. And it was cool, like how he found himself, and he was able to be self-confident and all that stuff. But goodbye.
Yeah.
You are not necessary for the rest of this episode.
Yeah.
Second death, which is probably the best one in the series, is Little Lady Mormont.
Aww. Yes, old Lyanna.
How adorable.
Yeah.
But gruesome death, but a super heroic death.
Yeah, and it was a very deliberate juxtaposition of like the littlest character taking out the biggest person in the battle, which I thought was doing her a good service.
Yeah, because we all, well, again, we keep saying we all, but I think because collectively most people thought she was done for after last episode when she said she's going to go out in the battle lines.
Yeah.
She's going to go fight. And come on, how the hell is this little girl going to be able to fight against the army dead? So I'm glad at least they gave her a good death. It wasn't just like she got run over by a bunch of deads and just died that way. So it was cool. She had her heroic moment. They will write songs about her and her killing of a giant. So that was cool. But she will be missed just because she was such a cool little character for the short period that she was there. And then the next character that died, other than everybody else, by the way.
Yeah. There were thousands of deaths, actually. That's not even including the White Walkers.
Yes, so there were a lot of deaths in this episode, but of the characters that we know by name and we care a little bit about is Beric. And I don't know, he's another one that I like, but is inconsequential.
Oh, he's much like Melisandre. I didn't even expect him to even be in this season, really. He's one of those characters that had their day in the sun, they served their purpose, and they're gone. But the whole thing with his death is that, as Melisandre says, he was continually brought back to life to serve a purpose, and he serves it here. And so no need to keep him around any longer either.
Yeah, his purpose, but it was just to protect Arya, because Arya was the one that gave the death blow.
Yes.
So he had to stick around. Now, I'm a Game of Thrones junkie, or have been for the last year or so. So I will listen to a lot of podcasts during the week while waiting for these episodes to run on HBO. And I will say that a lot of the theories guys had a better ending for him than what actually happened in the show. And one of their theories was that because he has this thing called the kiss of death, which he actually said he had it. I know he needed other people to bring him back to life, but he has actually had this power too. Is that Clegane, the Hound, was going to die, and he would bring him back after that, which I thought would have been kind of poetic because I didn't even remember this. That's why I like watching some of these podcasts. He was way back in the first season. I believe that Ned Stark was the one that contracted him to go kill the other Clegane brother. That was his mission, was to go kill the Mountain. And he wasn't able to do it. Actually, the Mountain killed him.
Yeah.
And then he kind of passed the torch in a way to the Hound, but he never officially did it. So that would have been a scene where him bringing back the Hound would have been like his way of completing the mission of getting the Mountain killed. But I mean, I guess it still works out if he was able to save the life of the Hound and Arya at the same time. But I don't know. I thought the way that the theories people had it was a little bit more dramatic and poetic than what happened, which is pretty much he just became a human barricade.
Yeah.
And they kept stabbing him and stabbing him and stabbing him. And then they went into this room. And it's Melisandre, man. Where does she come from? She was just in this room, just chilling.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about her in a second. Like, she might make it into my weak parts of this episode. I don't know. I'm still weighing it in my mind because I didn't really get what her deal was in this episode. And I think, again, the people that were coming up with all these wild theories kind of had something more interesting for her than what actually happened. Now we're getting to the big guns. A character everybody loves, I think. I mean, I liked him. Yeah, Jorah!
I like Jorah. He's a classic example of the redemption arcs that the story goes through. I mean, people forget he started out as Robert Baratheon's spy.
Yes.
And gets exiled for it, and then wins his way back into Dany's heart, even though, you know, she's not really in love with him like he is with her, and blah, blah, blah. But he's still, like, selflessly, like, literally to his dying breath, is willing to serve her and die for her if he has to, which he does.
And he didn't get any play, man. He was the stereotypical archetype.
He was in the friend zone.
Yep. For friend zone. And so all you men out there watching, do not be what Jorah was. Because he did not get play. But, you know, chivalry, man. Chivalry still exists, I guess. Well, in this show. So I liked that scene with him and Daenerys. She fell off her dragon, the dragon got attacked by a bunch of dead. And she picks up a sword and does a little bit of fighting herself, which was cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I wasn't expecting that to go down. And it was something more interesting than her just flying around in that dragon, because I was like, what the fuck is going on up in the sky? You couldn't see half of it. And it was just cool to see her put everything on the line. I think that's what she needed for her character, for other people to kind of respect her a little bit more.
Yeah, she finally won the battle of hearts and minds. Well, we don't know. We don't know what the public reaction is yet, but I'm guessing she probably won a lot of respect.
I agree. And just seeing the trailers for next episode, a lot of people were cheering when she was in the room. So I believe that she moved up a few notches on everybody's list of people to respect, which doesn't mean they're going to respect her after she's a queen on the throne, but we shall see, all right? Because the North remembers, always. Yes. But I liked his death scene. I mean, again, just like Beric, it was a little bit flat in a sense that, I mean, he was just getting stabbed over and over and over. It wouldn't go down. But whatever. I mean, that's what they were going for. But it was...
It was the courage of a knight.
Courage of a knight. And then Little Theon.
Ah, you knew this motherfucker had to go.
Yeah, he was on the death watch. Little Theon. And again, I keep saying again, but it's because he made a good point at the beginning. I didn't think it was the best battle that the Game of Thrones guys have put out, but it was such a great episode
Yeah.
because for me, what took me out of the battle scenes a little bit was just some of the unbelievability of some of it. Like all of a sudden, there's like 10,000 of these dead in going up the wall, entering Winterfell. Yet you don't know how are these people surviving. How are they fighting off so many? How are some surviving? Some are dying. And I gotta say the same with Theon in the Godswood scene. You see that there's a bunch of dead coming, and they're trying to fight them with bows and arrows.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little unbelievable to me that they would be able to hold off that many as quick as they are, because these aren't like Walking Dead speed zombies. They're fast.
Right.
And it just seemed a little unbelievable to me that they were just going to be able to fend them off, in which they didn't. But I'm saying as that they were even able to fend them off as long as they did.
Right.
Just with bows and arrows, because they were coming, man. I mean, you heard them coming into the woods, and I thought it would just be a few, because that's kind of off Winterfell, you know.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of to the side, but looked like there were a couple hundred of those fuckers. But whatever, that's what they went for. That's what they went for. And Theon was the last man standing, and out comes the Night King. And Bran, what the fuck was Bran doing?
Well, I believe he's looking into the future, and that's the whole deal with him, like telling Theon he forgives him, thank you, I know you're sorry, blah blah blah, because he knows exactly what's going to happen. So he's looking into the future, and basically, gives Theon his forgiveness and his send off.
It was one of those, I can see the future, but if I tell you, it won't happen.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, if you could, I mean, okay, Theon does like a brave and noble thing and whatnot, but did it really make a difference all that much? I mean, couldn't Brandon have said, like, actually, you don't have to do that. My sister's going to be here in like 5 minutes and
Yeah,
she'll take care of things.
exactly. He could have just said to him, Theon, stand near me, or some,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones type dialogue, stand beside me, Theon, and guard me one last time. And he would have stood next to him. The Night King would have showed up, and everything would have gone down exactly like what really happened. So that's kind of what we were talking about last podcast. Characters that can see into shit can be really frustrating because they just gotta, the plot has to work its way around them. They're just convenient characters for when the plot needs them to tell shit, and when the plot really can't have them say anything, they just don't say anything, but for no good reason. So I wasn't digging Bran at the moment. He did go into his green vision. He sent out a bunch of crows, and then the crows went up to see again. We went up to see that the Night King was there. We all knew the Night King was there, but it looked like the crows flew past him. So I'm thinking, man, this is gonna be like some last minute save type shit. He's gonna bring, I don't know who he would call. Maybe the animals of the forest or something. like a movie we just saw, Cry Wilderness. He would bring
the cougar.
the cougar and every animal of the forest or something, or those little green people. What are those? The
leprechauns?
No, not leprechauns. The children of the forest. The ones that actually created the Night King. Remember?
I don't know what their name is.
But I think it's the children of the. I think it's children of the forest, if I'm not mistaken.
Children of the First Men, maybe.
Yeah, let's double check here. Children of the Children of the Forest. Let's see what that is. Yeah, the Children of the Forest. Yeah, they're the ones. So I thought that who are the ones that actually created the very first. The Night King was created by them, and. Yeah, I just thought that there was going to be a payoff to this. Like they made it such an important scene where he says, "I'll be back," and Theon's like, "Where are you going?" and then he goes into his green vision, and the crows fly out, and then the crows are seen by the Night King's dragon, but then it kind of looks like they
Well,
keep
maybe they're going
going.
to King's Landing.
I don't know. I hope they pay that off, or he saw something that was really important, because in this episode it didn't pay off. But anyway, let's move on to our favorite witch,
Mm-hmm.
Melisandre.
Yes, actually, kind of surprised she was even in this season.
I figured she would be, because at the end of season 7, she told what's his name, the fat dude.
Sam.
No, the fat dude with no balls.
Oh, Varys.
Varys, yes.
Yeah, the fat dude with no balls.
I know. See, I can't say the dude with no balls, because there's a few people with no balls, but then I can't say the fat dude because there's a few fat dudes. But
right.
the combination, Varys is
this
the combination.
show actually has like more than one person who's had their manhood removed.
Yes.
That's fucked up.
So remember at the end of season 7, it actually scared the shit out of Varys, because he said, "Don't, I'll be back because I need to die in this strange land, as do you." And he gave this look like, "What?"
Right.
And by the way, Varys, what a shame. How his character has been treated the last couple of years. I think it's just the writer's inability to write well for him past the source material, because he really does nothing. I mean, he was probably one of my favorite characters through season 4.
He does actually facilitate the whole alliance that's standing up against Cersei. I mean, he's the guy. He makes it happen. He's the guy who gets Tyrion out of jail. He's the guy who convinces Jon Snow to align with Daenerys. So he does a lot, but he's always been that kind of character who's like, he's like third tier, in the background, despite all the influence he has.
No, I get it, but in the first, for probably up to season 4, or maybe 5.5, he just had better dialogue. It was wittier, more mysterious, more. There's so much more that they did with him, just dialogue-wise, which made me really love him. Same thing with Littlefinger. I think Littlefinger after...
Well, those two played off on each other,
yes,
too.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing.
And I think it's just an issue with... They didn't have the source material. They didn't know what to do with these two characters, because Littlefinger was an incredible character. Those two, like you said, they weren't top tier, but they were interesting. I mean, when you saw them on screen, you knew something was going down. There was some sneaky, mysterious plan going on. And then after around season 5, they became very one-dimensional in a way. Like, it was just, well, like you said, Varys still was important as far as, I'm going to help you strategize. And it seemed like he really... Because in the beginning, he didn't know whose side he was on,
Right.
And then...
He serves the realm.
Yes. And then once he found out about Daenerys, I was like, okay, you know exactly whose side he's on, who he's going to betray, who he's not going to betray, etc., etc. And they suffered a little bit. He suffered, Littlefinger, and even Tyrion suffered a little bit in the last couple seasons. He wasn't as witty as, his verbal spars through seasons 3, 4 are legendary, right?
Yeah, but he's also grown up. Like, there's that scene in the last episode where Jaime tells him, I can't be a golden lion anymore, but being a drunken whoremonger is still an option. And Tyrion, in dead seriousness, is like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I've changed too much. I can't be that person anymore.
Now, I've liked him more this... I mean, it's a short season, but I've liked Tyrion more this season than in the last couple of seasons. He's fucked up a lot the last couple of seasons. But anyway, the woman of the hour is Melisandre, which is another tiring character, just because for me, although obviously she has actual power, which we saw right from the beginning when she birthed that black thing.
Yeah, I watched that episode last night, actually.
Yeah.
Yucky.
Yeah, so we know she's got power, but almost all of her, she's like Miss Cleo, the psychic line, or Dionne Warwick psychic line. Is that, she hasn't got shit right.
Jackie Stallone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. 1-800-Melisandre. Because she doesn't get shit right. She hasn't gotten shit right.
No, she fucks Stannis royally. Literally royally.
Yes. Yeah. So That's why I don't like her. Despite the fact that I do understand. I mean, she brought Jon Snow back to life, and even at
Yeah.
the start of this episode, she showed that she does have power. She lit up all the Thraki, whatever
Yeah.
swords. Although she forgot to light up, she should have lit what's his name sword too. Jorah. Jorah was already
Yeah.
like, wait,
Yeah.
a little help here.
Yeah.
Uh, and when they had that ditch that they kind of like a moat ditch, whatever that they built around Winterfell that they were gonna light up with flames. It wasn't lighting up because of the cold, and she
Mhm.
went there. It's like, Lord of Light, help us, save us.
Yeah.
So she's got power, but she was. Did she do anything like incredibly like? I mean, I guess she lit the fucking ditch.
Yeah,
But
but
was she
all
necessary?
not really because I mean, okay, she lit the ditch, but
Yeah.
all the dead did was stop and wait for the fire to go out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, they just. Or no, actually, they didn't wait for the fire to come out. They just created a little land bridge of
Yeah,
dead.
yeah,
They just started throwing themselves into the fire because I think the Night King was up in the sky and he just kind of pointed forward, and as soon as he did that, they just started piling on each other.
yeah,
So yeah, so she was completely unnecessary this episode, and then she was hiding out. I don't know how, but she got inside the fucking I don't know little room where Arya and the Hound and Barrick ended up, and she was just there just to say, "You've served your purpose. You were the
yeah.
what is
The
it?
Lord of Light.
Yeah, the Lord of Lights brought you back to serve. You served your
Yeah.
purpose.
Dios de luz.
Yeah, and then she told Ari, I guess that was sort of an important line where he said, yeah, you would kill a lot of people,
Yeah.
brown-eyed and green-eyed and also blue-eyed.
Hmm.
And then after that, Arya just kind of got something in her head and she went out. But, I mean, I guess that was it. That was her only necessary thing. She kind of reminded Arya that she still had fight in her and to go out. But totally, I
She was
didn't.
a glorified cheerleader.
Yeah, she was a glorified cheerleader, and the reason I'm a little upset because again, like I said, I'm a podcast junkie during the week, and there were so many cool theories about what she was going to do, her importance, because apparently in the books, I don't know if they went so much into this in the show, although they sprinkled a little bit of it in the show. There's apparently this old mythology about this thing called the Lightbringer, which is this sword made out of fire or forged in fire or something, where that's able to kill the the Night King. I think I'm getting it right. Probably not, but in any case, one of the theories was that somebody in the current time, the prince that was promised, right? They did talk about that a lot in the show, was going to yield this Lightbringer. But how was it created? It was created when this husband, or that was trying to forge the sword, he tried 2 or 3 other times, didn't work. The only time that it worked was when he stabbed his own wife, and she was pregnant, in the heart, and her screams went up into the heavens and cracked the moon, a bunch of bullshit. But then when he pulled it out, the sword was forged in fire, in Valerian steel, apparently. So Melisandre's whole thing is that throughout the series, she's been talking about how, she's got the fire burning in her. Even in this picture you see here, she's not dressed for the cold.
Right.
When she went up to Castle Black, Jon Snow even mentioned, how she smelled of like a forge. There's some weird smell about her, and how she doesn't feel any cold. So the theory was that she was gonna show up at the last minute so that Jon Snow would have to kill her, because he did say he was gonna kill her. So it would
Hmm.
make sense. He would stab her, boom, bring out the light bringer,
Right.
because his original sword that he usually fights with would have been busted up by the Night King, and that's what he would use to defeat the Night King. This this super magical sword. And last a couple days ago, somebody had a similar theory to this about the Lightbringer, but it was switched to Daenerys was going to be this person. He would have to sacrifice Daenerys, so Jon Snow would be this Azor Ahai character, whatever. And I think the woman, his wife's name was Nissa. And Daenerys might be pregnant with his child, so that would have made it even more impactful. Again, I thought that would have been cool. Definitely better than what they did with her, which was absolutely nothing. I mean, she predicted that she would die there, but she didn't get killed. She just decided,
yeah,
okay.
She pulled a Luke Skywalker is what she did.
Yeah, her mission was done.
Yeah, time to go back into the Force.
Yeah, because she took off that bracelet.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, now it makes me...
Because she's like really old. There's that one scene, and I think it's season 6.
Yeah.
Where she takes off the bracelet, and she's like, it's
an old lady, right?
Yeah, it's one of those scenes that'll turn you off your meal, man.
Yes.
She's like an old lady with saggy boobies.
Yeah. Although, there's a scene before that in one of the seasons where she doesn't have the bracelet on, and she's talking to, what's his name? The king she was working with for the longest. Stannis. Yeah. And she doesn't have the bracelet on, so people pointed that out, that maybe it was a little bit of a contradiction because she had it off. Although they did say that before she took it off, she asked Davos to bring her a little potion or something. So they say, oh, she was able to stay young because she was holding on to this other thing. But in any case, yes, it was a Luke Skywalker. She just showed up at the last minute just to kind of do nothing. Because Luke didn't fight in that last scene. He just kind of gave them enough time to escape.
Yeah, he did something. But, in the meantime...
He did more than her.
Yeah.
I actually liked that scene with him despite whatever the fuck it was. He just decided he was going to die. For no reason.
Yeah, well, according to Mark Hamill, he OD'd on the Force. He hadn't used it in a long time, and then when he used the Force, it swallowed him up.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
I didn't read about that. Yeah, because it didn't make much sense why he seemed all right. And she didn't OD on anything. She just, I guess that was her mission, which is to help defeat the Night King. But
she was kind of like Leonard Nimoy in that X-Files Simpsons crossover.
What the hell? I never saw that.
Oh, really? It's worth seeing.
Okay, I'll check it out because I'm a big Star Trek fan and a big X-Files fan, so I'll probably enjoy it. But yeah, I didn't like that, so I'm gonna add her because I said at the start that I was kind of weighing in my mind if she would be in my best or weakest parts of the episode. I think I'm gonna put her in the weakest parts because there was a really big build-up for what her true mission was. And a build-up also because everybody said that they were going to kill her ass if she came back. And I figured that her saying that she was going to die was going to mean somebody was going to kill her. But through killing her, I don't know, like it would have, like the Fire Force or some shit would have happened. Right? Last minute save type deal. Like, stabbed, she would tell somebody, stab me in the heart now. Or something, like a real dramatic scene, and then everything burst into flames, and something a little bit more over the top than what we got. So I give her a thumbs down for now, but I'm kind of glad that she's done and over with. But let's go to the super thumbs up. Super thumbs up is our little girl.
Yes, indeed.
Who's not fucking anybody this season. She's back, or this
episode, yeah.
Yeah, so she's back to what we expect from Arya Stark.
Yeah, she slayed a lot of people up until this scene, man. She took out like a dozen people in a matter of seconds. With
that weapon that Gendry made her. And Gendry was barely in this. Yeah, we got to talk a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of think he was kind of on Death Watch.
He was on Death Watch, and so was Grey Worm.
Yeah.
And they were barely in the episode.
No, didn't see him at all, hardly.
I mean, Grey Worm, when they were about to go into the castle, and the things weren't lighting, the little ditch fire, and he had this look on his face, and I said, okay, this is the moment. He's going to do something to sacrifice himself. He's going to just take a torch out there and try to light. light it manually. But then nothing happened. He just kind of looked, kind of teared up, and then next scene. So no Grey Worm death, no Gendry death.
No.
But then we get the end here. Night King is doing the stare down with Bran. No explanation again as to what his mission is. So I guess his mission was just death. Because I like when they bring mythology into it. Like I like it when they give a little bit of a reason why a mythology. Is he really a good guy? And we think well, not a good guy, but does he have kind of a reasoning which makes us kind of feel sorry, but understand that, man, but maybe this is not the best way to take care of your issues. I thought that was missing. They just made him a boogeyman in the end, which for me didn't do it as much. And then out of nowhere comes little Arya Stark, and he turns around, and I jumped a little. I could have sworn.
I thought her neck was gonna pop like a twig.
Yeah, I thought that he had stabbed her in the air. I didn't even notice that it was just his hand. And then Valerian steals his ass right in the belly.
Yep.
And boom, it was that quick. Everything just starts melting because the build up to this scene was so great with all the different. We had the people down in the crypts when the dead people down there woke up.
Right.
Because Daenerys tried to smoke our friend out, but the dragon fire didn't work. So then he just walks out. He lifts all the dead people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you weren't fucked before, boy, you are now.
And so, great. What's the term for it? I forgot the term for this. When you do a bait and switch. That's what it was. It was a huge bait and switch because we had forgotten that as soon as Melisandre said, and Blue Eyes, Arya went out.
Yeah.
And then, it was just, we figured, okay, she just went off somewhere to just go fight some more. But then we were thinking about Daenerys because she fell off her dragon, and her dragon was getting attacked by a bunch of dead, and she was fighting with Jorah. Jon Snow was fucked because I guess, what was it? I always forget the name of the dragon, the one that turned into a blue dragon. It was named after her brother.
Yeah, Viserion?
Yeah, Viserion. Viserion was about to smoke Jon out, and he was so desperate. He was like, this is the end. He decided he was going to have a shouting match with the dragon. Yeah. We saw, I think they even showed a little bit still of Brienne and Jaime up there fighting desperately. And we had a little character moment with our friend Tyrion and Sansa with their little daggers. Like, man, if we're going to die down here.
They actually looked like a married couple for the first time.
Yeah. They said, if we're going to die down here, at least we're going to die fighting. And of course, just a stare down between Bran and the Night King. So out of nowhere she comes. That was awesome. That was awesome. And so despite me wanting a lot of that mythology stuff to go down and Jon Snow taking him out and blah blah blah, or even him surviving, I wouldn't have minded if the Night King had survived and done some other shit. Or remember last week we were thinking that he wouldn't even show up this episode, that he was going to go down south and then come back up with another army. But none of that went down. We got little Arya Stark, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Stab him, and then all of the army of the dead just, the White Walkers bust up, like into little ice cubes. And the army, the dead just die. They just get what would be the opposite of reanimated? Deanimated?
Deanimated, yes.
Dude, they just deanimated. Yeah. And that was it. So overall, what grade would you give this episode?
I give it a solid 9. It's tempting to give it a 9.5, but as you said, it is a bit darkly lit, and you have to compare it to other episodes in the series. So comparing it to other episodes, I have to give it just a solid 9.0.
Yeah, I think I would give it a 9 too. In there, just at the end there, we see the Night King staring down Draco, I guess that's the big dragon's name,
Yeah.
and Daenerys trying to smoke him out, and it did not work.
Yeah, it would have been
But
too easy.
it would have been way too easy. But I'm with you. I give it a 9. I think I moved up my scale. It's been moving up. It was 8, 8.5, 9. So these episodes are getting better.
For sure.
And it's definitely a strong season, and it started out very strong, and it's
Yeah.
been going in the right direction. But I agree. If I compare it just on a choreographed levels, filmed level, cinematography wise, I think Hard Home is still my favorite battle scene when they go out in all the way to the super north, and then probably Castle Black
Right, right. Yeah.
is my second favorite.
I think Castle Black's my favorite battle scene. Castle Black, followed by Battle of the Bastards, followed
Hmm.
by this.
Yes. So, um, yeah, they could have done a better job with that, but what can you do? It's a night battle. There's no way to. I mean, they don't have
Yeah,
light
it's
posts.
more of a story than a battle.
Yes.
The story revolved around the battle,
Yeah.
but like the Castle Black episode, like the battle was the episode. In this case, the battle wasn't the episode. The
Yes.
battle was something that
What's
the
happening?
episode revolved around.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I agree. And but it was still epic. It was still epic. It had me hanging on, for dear life here, just trying to figure out what was going to happen next, what was going to happen next. So, a 9 is a good score. 9
Yeah.
is a good score. It couldn't make it up to a 10. It would have made it up to a 10 for me if, one, if they had utilized characters like Melisandre a little bit better, if they had put a little bit more intrigue of like the mythology side of Game of Thrones in there, of why the Night King was actually doing what he was doing beyond just being a boogeyman, bad guy.
Right.
Had Jon Snow had an interaction with him, because they built that up for so many seasons with those stare downs. I mean, even if it's a short sword battle and then he injures Jon Snow and just continues on his role, trying to go after Bran. I think they missed some opportunities to do that. They could have done it and still had it end with Arya killing him. I don't think it would have taken away from any of that.
It did definitely play the horror element really well, though.
Yes.
I felt this was like more than a battle episode. It was more of a horror episode.
And the directors, I think, said that. I think I saw an article maybe 2-3 days ago where he said, "Prepare yourself, because it's going to be like a horror chase
Yeah,
movie."
yeah, especially the down under scenes.
Yes, those were the best when they were inside the crypt and just Arya running through Castle Black. I thought was the best. The weakest part of the battle for me, like I said, was right inside the gate. As soon as they got inside the gate, it was just too messy. It was just too many of them running up, and we didn't know where they were coming from, how many there really were, how people were defending themselves and fighting it off, which they did so much better. I mean, again, you got to just compare it to what they did with the Castle Black episode, which was also a whole lot of motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But it was staged better, where it made sense. Okay, this is how he died, and this is how he escaped dying, and this is why it isn't just this conglomeration of 100 wildlings in one spot. They're spreading out. Some are going here, some are going there, some are trying to go in through the bottom gate, and blah, blah, blah. So I guess, I mean, I don't know, that part didn't interest me that much. But a solid 10. Any predictions for next episode? Because now we're moving on with the story. We saw Cersei in the trailers.
Yeah, I think next we like the last two episodes were the build up to the Battle of Winterfell. So I think the next episode is going to be a build up to the Battle of King's Landing, which will probably be the last two episodes. So I think we can expect a little bit of downtime next episode.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah. And then, the last two episodes will bring it on home.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if because they're actually gonna have a battle, because I haven't read anything about a battle at King's Landing, and I mean, they have to have one. It's been building up to that, but nobody really talks about it because everybody was so focused on this episode 3, even before the season come out. Because these motherfuckers that are insiders, and
Right.
2 or 3 months before the season was out, people were already talking about how, listen, episode 3 is the battle scene. And they were right, it was, but nobody's been talking about the second battle, which I think is going to be that one. If they do a second battle this season, I think it's going to be a lot more choreographed, a lot better, I should say. Because we're talking about living people who strategize a little bit more than just trying to run up in your house.
And there's civilians in the way as well.
And there's civilians in the way, and I think that it's going to be a little bit more of a strategy battle than this one. Because this was not. This was just a...
It doesn't necessarily have to be like a quote-unquote battle per se, but there is going to be a fight for King's Landing for sure.
We shall see. We shall see. But anyway, guys, tell us what you thought of this episode. Leave comments below. Thanks, everyone who watched the last podcast, which was cool to see that many people clicking play. I know these are a bit long, but that's how we like it, long form. So like and subscribe. Click on that little bell there to get notifications for when these videos come out. You can follow me at The Bridgepoint on Facebook. I also have a blog, brazuza.wordpress.com. And if you like movies and anything like that, you can check out Talking Films on Facebook, and we talk a lot about Game of Thrones there, although we don't give any spoilers there, so don't worry. And no spoilers for Endgame either. And by the way, I did see Endgame.
I have not seen it yet. I'm too poor to go to the movies.
Well, I actually didn't see it at the movies yet. Okay. I'm kind of poor. But I am going to see it in the movies. But I will say this. I like this episode better than Endgame, although Endgame is really, really, really good too. So check that out too. If you obviously, I don't think I have to tell people to check out Endgame.
Yeah, it's made like what $1.5 billion in the opening weekend.
That's crazy. But a lot of great character moments in that too. So it's not just a big fight for 3 hours. So I think
good weekend for
the
Starks.
Yes. Yeah, the Starks came out on top this weekend. Not one Stark died of the ones that are left. And a good weekend for the Lannisters. Because they all survived. No, it's a good weekend for the main cast, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a good weekend for the main cast. And so we got 3 more episodes to find out where this is all going to end. And get back to, hopefully, what the show is called, right? It's a Game of Thrones, not the game of the night, the winter versus the summer or whatever, In
the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Yes. All right, guys.
Cheers.
Until next time, have a good night, morning, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this later on. Bye-bye.